estate, and not just how do I get paid, but how and where can I take the classes that are going to help me deal with what's happening in the real estate industry. And the interesting thing is, a lot of my students, I have taught over 14,000 people how to get their real estate license. And I would say almost all of them have their real estate license. In fact, this year alone, we've helped people switch from the real estate license to the broker's license. And to me, what I'm going to say right now is might be a good idea to start working towards that broker's license. And I hate to say it, and I didn't finish in the Instagram that I was talking about, because there's a whole thing that I was talking about this on Instagram that you can go and watch. But having your broker's license might be your next best thought. And we say that because some of the states don't have sales licenses. For instance, Colorado has they only have brokers. So they have brokers that are the broker of record, and then they have broker affiliates underneath them. They don't have sales agents. And because of that, as long as you're under another broker, you have to really talk to them about how far can you go when you're trying to negotiate your commissions, and how little is the office going to allow you to make, because the office isn't supposed to have a set commission. So how they're going to work through that, I don't know. But having your own broker's license, like for myself, I've never been under another broker as a salesperson, because I was in the business as an investor and then a loan officer. And then I got my broker's license, and I've always been a broker by myself. And that gives me the ability to, let's say that you have a buyer and a seller and they're not coming together. For instance, I'll give you a really good example. I had a seller that was an investor. It was not my seller, but that was the property that my clients wanted. And so they hadn't seen the property, and they were told they only qualified for $520,000. And this is why it's so important for you real estate agents, or people thinking about becoming real estate agents, or if you're looking at buying a home, to understand the mortgage process. I'm going to go ahead and lower this because I feel like you're looking at the ceiling. So anyway, it's so important to understand the mortgage process and know what you qualify for, because when I spoke to them, just by hearing how much money he made, what kind of job he had, how much money his wife made, what kind of job she had, and how much money they spend every month, I knew in my head that they qualified for 580. And I said, "Are you sure the other agent, their loan officer, told you were only on 520?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so I said, "Well, let me look at the numbers, and I'll go ahead and sit down with my processor and see what we think we can do." And we got them pre-approved at 580. So the difference in a home that you can buy at 580 versus 520 is huge, especially here in California. So depending on who you're working with for your loan, you want to make sure that they have looked at everything they can do. And if it's a conventional loan that they're getting you approved for, and maybe you want to go on a higher number, as long as the county you want to go to will allow for that number, you might want to try FHA, because FHA will allow you a higher debt ratio, which means you have maybe more debt than you should have, and they'll allow you to still qualify. So FHA is a little, let's say, more lax when it comes to your debt ratios. So what I do with those people is I said, I know you don't want to spend 580 because you don't want those payments, but it gives us the ability to look at the houses that are up at the 580. So if my clients are qualified for 580, I'm going to look at everything up to 600,000. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to them about what they want in their home. And there actually is a new form. So those of you who have your real estate license, or getting your new real estate license, there's a new form. There's like a new form for everything. There's a new form that actually asks, what do you want? What are your wants and needs? Do you want a white kitchen? Do you want a brown kitchen? Whenever somebody tells me what color they want, I'm like, so who does the cooking? Because whoever does the cooking is the one that gets a cooking color, okay? And so I joke around with them, and I go through all their wants and needs. So wants and needs are different things. One is I want this. Need is I have to have this. So I go through the wants and needs with the husbands and wives, and I go through the areas they want to be in, and I literally narrow it down to about 10 homes that I'm going to show them. And before I show them to them, I'm going to say, do you guys have an hour that we can go through the homes that are available on the MLS? And I narrowed it down to the 10, but maybe I'll show them 12 or 15 while we're on the Zoom call. And I'll go through all the qualifications and the location of the home, and I'll share my screen. So I'm sharing. So how I do this is different than everybody else. I don't get in the car and drive around a lot. Usually my clients will see their home that they want on the first or second time we go out. And then they'll ask me if we can go out again just because it was so fun. I know, that's super crazy. So anyway, what I did is in order to learn how to negotiate, first of all, you have to be confident in yourself. And if you're not confident, you're not going to come across like you know what you're talking about. And you have to be knowledgeable. So I knew that the house that they wanted, because I showed it to them once and I said, look, we're going to look at the least expensive one to the most expensive one. We may not see it that way because we're going to go on how the map leads us, because I'm not going to go here and then there and then there and then there and then there and then back here. I'm going to go in a map. Okay. Once we see all the homes, then we're going to talk about them. Well, we happened to look at the one that was listed at 580 last, and I knew it wasn't worth 580. I comped it out at 548. So I showed it to my clients and I said, they said, they literally said to me, oh, you know what? We wanted to see this one, but being listed at 580 and we were told we only qualified for 520, we decided not to look at it. I said, yeah, it's listed at 580, but I comped it out at 548. So it's not worth 580. It doesn't matter. So all of you people that are listening, I have one thumbs up. How about you each give me a thumbs up? Because I'm giving you some really good information right now about how to negotiate. And whether you're a buyer, seller, or an agent, you need to know how to negotiate through life. So taking any of our classes on negotiating, and the class we're doing on August the 31st on how to get more business and how to time manage yourself much better. These things, you guys can't, they're invaluable, because we're doing this class for $25 on August the 31st. It's only going to be 2.5 hours long. And after we do it, it's only going to be $25. And after we do it, the video of it's going to be $79. So if you miss it, it's going to cost you more money. But anyway, so back to my people. After they liked it and they loved it, they're like, yeah, but it's 580. I said, yeah, but it's 548. So I called the agent. That's exactly what we have to do in the future. Pick up the phone. It's not going to kill you. So you pick up the phone and you say, how much is the commission? Or is your seller willing to do any kind of referral fee? What can we do so I can be paid? We do a job. What I say to other people who think real estate agents are too highly paid, go to work for 2.5 to 3 months. And how much do you get paid a month? Most people get paid, let's call it $4,000 a month. 3 months, that's $12,000. On an average home in an average area, $12,000 is our commission. So we're not being overpaid. We're being paid pretty much the going rate, unless you're doing a really expensive home. And in that case, maybe the sellers and the buyers should have negotiated a lower commission in the first place, because it's always been negotiable. How about that? So anyway, with my people, I called the agent. I picked up the phone and I called her. And I love saying this, but sometimes like you offend somebody. I say to the agent, I go, I have a question. And she goes, what? And you have to say it in a nice way, because you don't want to offend anybody. I said, my question is, my clients love your home, but how did you get the price at 580? Like, why did you list it there? Was it you or was it your seller? And she started laughing and she goes, it was our seller. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, is your seller serious about 580? Because it's only going to appraise for maybe 540, maybe 545. And I said, my clients are willing to go 550. And she said, this is an investor. She rents out the property and she doesn't have to sell it. It's paid off. But she was thinking about starting to cash in on her investment. And she said if she didn't get 580 to 600, she wouldn't sell it. Now, how many times in my career and in every other real estate agent's career has the seller said, I'm not doing this. I'm not making repairs. It's as is. And how many times have they changed because the deal was worth changing? All the time. So here's the deal. I said, well, what do you think? And she said, write me an offer at 552. Can you get them to 552? Because I said I was at 550. I said, you know what? Let me try. I went and I called them and I said, what do you think? And I told them the whole thing. And they said, we'll go 552. And they said, what happens if the appraisal comes in low? So if the appraisal comes in low, we'll talk about it at that time. And guess what? The appraisal came in low. It didn't even come in at my 545. The appraiser was crappy and it came in at 530. So we got a problem now. We got a $22,000 problem. Do you think that those buyers could have negotiated and got their deal done without me? Hell no. They wouldn't have even got it at 550. They would have walked away from it because it was at 580. So can you see how important a real estate agent is? So going on with that, it came in at 530, and I called the agent and I talked to her and I said, I did everything I could. I looked at the comps and the appraiser had 3 bad comps. He had 8 comps. He only needs 3 or 5. You only need 3. Most appraisals have 5 comps, and he had 8, and 3 of the comps were in a way different area, super far away. It's supposed to be within 1 mile, within 300 square feet of our property, and they weren't. And so I tried to challenge the appraisal, but it was an FHA appraisal. You're never going to win if you try to challenge an FHA or a VA appraisal. You're not going to win. And so I went back to the real estate agent. I said, this is what happened. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, didn't your seller say if our deal didn't go through, she was going to cancel and you weren't going to get paid? And she said, yeah. And I said, wouldn't you rather have $9,000 than no $1,000? Because our commissions were right around, I think it was 13,000. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So we were going to get 13 each. And she said, well, yeah, I guess I'd rather have 9 than nothing. And I said, well, I'll pitch in 4 if you pitch in 4. And she goes, all right. And she goes, what about the rest of it? And I said, well, I'll talk to my buyers and see if they'll pitch in. And you talk to your seller. She's like, she's not going to pitch in. I go, but when you tell her that the buyers are willing to come up and we're willing to pitch in 4,000 each, and we all come together and negotiate, I'm sure we can get this deal done. And we did. We negotiated the whole deal. And that's what's going to happen in every deal anyways. So why everybody's so afraid of negotiating is because we went from being real estate agents that negotiated all the time to doing faxes. And we did them on a fax machine. And then we went from the fax machine to the text messages and uploading an offer on the email. And then we stopped returning each other's call. You know, they say that we collude with each other on how much money we're making. We weren't even talking to each other. And sometimes they didn't even call us back. So how can we collude when we're not even talking to each other? We're just emailing and text messaging. So now it's going to force us to actually talk and negotiate and work harder for the money that we make. But like I said, I mean, I really don't look at how much I'm going to make because I'm going to do the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. And we're going to keep working together and negotiating. So I wanted to come on YouTube today and talk to you about all the stuff that's going on. If you have any questions, put them in my comments because I'm here to help you get through this journey and navigate through all the things that we have to go through on these changes because, we're going to come up with classes for you. We have the class already. I got my license. What do I do? We have the class, Understanding the Mortgage Process. If you're a real estate agent, you need to educate yourself because you're going to sell your buyers and sellers on how well educated you are and how much experience you are. And if you're not educated and you don't have the experience, it's going to be hard to sell yourself on the highest commission. So let us know if you have any questions at all. Arlene, my business partner, and I are here to help you. And so one more thing, our class, if you don't have your license yet, is on Saturday from 8:30 to 5 p.m. And it's also on Sunday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. And then we go on, and sometimes we do that class during the week. And then we do the mortgage class, and we do the brokers classes. So if you have any questions about anything, both of us have been in the real estate industry for quite a while. I'm at like 44 years, not as a realtor, but as an investor and owning a mortgage company. So I can answer your mortgage questions. And like I said, we're here to help you. Call on us. Thank you. Make sure you like and you comment and you share with everybody because we want to make sure that we help as many people as we can. Have a great evening.